This is a very cringe intro. Because you have to realize I set up the camera and I set up two cameras. Anyway. I know this is a weird angle, so yeah. Probably this video is going to be really strange. It's going to have two different qualities. So I'm using two different cameras, so camera 1 and camera 2. So let's just get straight into it. This video is not really meant for a gender war between men and women and anything like that. If you're an incel or somebody who just, I don't think all incels, it just means involuntary celibate, but I don't think all these guys hate women. I just think if you're a guy who has very strong dislike and disdain for women and their culture, this video is not for you. And if you're a woman who's looking to dunk on men and hate on them and go, yeah, exactly, you're speaking for me, then this video is not for you either. Believe me, go somewhere else. Now, that being said, I want to talk about something that's really interesting because I heard it recently. I've been hearing people talk this way a lot, but it's strange because you hear them talking a lot about relationships when they're not in them themselves. I heard a bunch of girls, right? A bunch of ladies. They said, oh, men, would you I guess they're having a conversation about men and women and having relationships, and should a man even have a relationship if he doesn't have good income or a good job? And it's always really strange to hear this because sure, of course, you want a successful guy, a guy who's working hard and everything. But it's always really weird how women portray the guys, because whenever girls talk like this, they always say, oh, I'm not going to support a bum who stays at home and cries all day and stuff. And you hear them talk that way and you're like, even if a guy works at a minimum wage retail job or something, or even McDonald's, that guy's not staying home and crying all day. But apparently, I guess those must be equated to the same. And I find that strange because that guy is not the guy you're talking about, but yet that's the guy they're intending to say, because a lot of the time they say, oh yeah, I won't date a guy who isn't working his hardest or has a plan or isn't working to get a great career. But that includes, let's say someone who just working minimum wage or whatever. And it's really weird because here's my issue with it. My issue with when people talk this way is that in reality, if you actually observe people who are in relationships, they stress about money, of course. Life is expensive. Trying to have a family together is very expensive. I'm not going to say it's easy in any way. But they don't nickel and dime each other and 50 and have all these weird standards about not going 50-50 or not being able to share bills or share expenses. So I always find it weird that the people who say he has to take care of me and I deserve to be in a great relationship. I find that really strange because you're not in one right now, and I'm not attacking you. It's okay if you're okay being independent and single. But you always talk about it as if a guy's supposed to be supporting you and everything, but you end up supporting yourself, and you end up pushing away anybody who's willing to work hard with you and trying to be in a relationship. And you'd think this is not that must not be common. It must have been those specific people. A lot of people like to write off opinions that way. They go, oh, it's just one specific person. Guys will defend themselves oh, it's not all guys. It's just a few. Or girls will say the same thing. Now, in reality, most relationships here in North America, United States, Canada, Mexico, you openly see it, especially working around people and seeing them interact. You see that, yeah, if a guy has to pay for something, he's going to pay. But also, if a girl's going to pay for it, she's going to pay. It's not a big deal, especially if somebody's married or in a long-term relationship. They know that they have each other. They know that they're not really trying to play some sort of game. Maybe that stuff is more important in the beginning. Oh, who's going to pay for the first check or the first bill or whatever? Sure. But in reality, life, like I said, life is expensive. So it's not easy to just go saying, oh, I just need him to have this great X amount of dollar job, or her, if you're a guy who wants her to support you. Why am I bringing this up? Because a lot of people talk about, oh, money is necessary. Money is necessary for a relationship. And you're not wrong. I'm never going to fight you and say, oh, it's not important, especially if it's something you value. It's never going to be a problem.
And I also want to make this very clear. Wanting to be with a man who is a provider is very different than just wanting a man to be your ATM. Please understand this. Being 20, 21, or even 25, expecting your boyfriend to pay for all of your stuff because you saw a girl on TikTok say, if you split bills or split things 50-50, it means that you're not with a grown man, or you're not with a real man, or you're definitely not his dream girl, makes me incredibly sad.
But I heard a guy recently say something like, "Oh, yeah, money's not the most important thing, but I've never seen a happy poor couple." Well, maybe that's been his experience. Sure, that's probably fine. But at the end of the day, like, most of the world is not rich. In fact, most of the world is middle class to poor. This goes regardless of country. Most people are not rich. That's just a known, I think. Majority of people have like a major savings account, can't travel on a regular basis. That still is a major luxury. Traveling and all these luxuries and amenities you get to enjoy in your youth or when you're young. At the end of the day, the way people talk about income, it's this like unfathomable notion that like, oh, once you have it, everything else falls in line. Everything else will make you happy. Everything else will be good. Your relationship will somehow just be better now. You're deserving of relationships now that you have good income. Of course, income is going to certainly help. That's always going to be an important factor. I never hear people talk about the other factors of relationships, like compatibility, care, effort, love, desire, sexual intercourse. All of these things that like fall by the wayside and will still drive a relationship apart. But apparently, relationships are nothing if you do not have money. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this all up is because I've noticed this is a broader issue that's happening today with dating and people, how they see each other. This objectification of people. A lot of women will say, oh, men objectify women. Yeah, they're right. Like, a lot of men do objectify women. Yeah, we just say, oh, she's a 5, she's a 6, she's a 7, she's a 10. But the thing is, while men have objectified women for a long time, yes, they rate them on a scale, just attractiveness, who you want to sleep with, all this stuff like that. I've noticed that women are also have been objectifying men as well, especially nowadays when you talk to them. The question, what do you do for a living, is a determinative factor of whether you're willing to date long term or you're just a handsome person I can be with for a short time.
Worrying about being broke. As well, these men love to say, and what do you bring to the table? Honey, there is no table for us to sit at. You have no money to buy the table. What do you bring to the table is broke guy talk. No guy that is actually willing to provide and actually take care of a woman will ever tell you, what do you bring to the table? Shut up. So
it's a very strange way to see relationships because pre-internet, pre-Tinder, people didn't treat relationships this way. But essentially, you got married to the people you're around. You went to high school or your hometown or whatever. And we all know this, right? We all have heard of this. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's just some folktales. But the thing is, people didn't travel a lot. People didn't weren't dating long distance or people from Tinder or people from Britain dating someone from Brazil. It just wasn't common. People didn't have these long-term relationships or dating from all over the world. They dated who they're around. And so, because you were around this person more often and you didn't really have the capability to just ghost this person, you kind of had to put in a better effort. Now, why am I bringing this all up? How does it relate? People didn't see each other as a commodity back then. Sure, you're an investment. Am I going to get with the right person? But you spent so much time with this person, you understood their character, you understood who they were, you understood their background, you understood their family, you understood where they came from, their town, where they lived. You saw them as a human, not something to benefit off of. The guy wasn't just a check or an income that you determined if I could even go on dates with this person. And a girl wasn't just a pair of walking private parts that you just wanted to sleep with and leave behind. I mean, sure, there was always bad actors. Believe me, there was always bad actors. There was women who chose to only go for kings back when they were kings. And I'm sure there were tons of men, poor, rich, middle class, all alike, that slept with a girl and then would just move a town over and she would never see him again. When he could just be literally within 5 miles. But she would have no idea of knowing because we didn't have social media. We didn't have the online presence that we have today. My point, I think why I brought up this in a previous video of mine and why I'm bringing it up now is this idea that love as a commodification is just a really sad state for the world. And I don't mean to get all doomer and sad about it. But that's the way people are talking about relationships when they don't even look at the people in relationships, and especially relationships that work. Because everybody has changed their values to what does this person give me rather than a relationship you're having with a human. I think that's why we have so many hurt people in the world. Anyway, just remember that you're human. And you deserve love, just like everyone else. Take care.